So this is the square one version of the puzzle. This is a very, very well made puzzle. The movement, despite all the little pieces and all the little parts, is seamless. So it's actually a very fun puzzle. Now, when solving this puzzle, and even when scrambling it, basically what I have is I have a 2x2, and I've got 1, 2, 3 separate square ones. So I'm not going to do it the same way as this. I'm not going to solve it like a 2x2 and solve these like they're centers, like they're supercube square one centers. I guess you could do that. I'm going to solve it like they're 3 separate square one puzzles. The reason being is because I can actually do it that way. The way square ones are solved anyway is by doing 180-degree turns. Unless you get a master square one, in which case you can actually make 90-degree turns. It's pretty interesting. So just to show the motion of this, first off, in order to scramble it, you have to do some priming here, where you move this in various directions here so that they line up with this. And then the turning is actually really, really good. And you can even start shape shifting with it. So I'm going to start turning here, 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 and to continue the process of scrambling. Scrambling this does take a little bit of doing also. It takes a little bit of concentration. And you can see that I'm starting to get moves that are blocked. So I can't just do any old move with these scrambles. I have to plan it out. And now I can move this over here. So I'm going to continue doing this. The process of scrambling it, again, takes a little bit of concentration. So just to show another motion over here, see this one blocked that over here. And I want to start separating these colors out. Something is blocking, something is blocking, this is blocking. And once I think I have it all released and all able to move, then I can effortlessly make my move. So I'm going to continue this, and then we'll see if we can solve this bad boy, which could be another good way of looking at another square one solve. I've done a couple of square one solves, but here's another one for the record. Abracadabra. Okay, here we go. Now, as much as I enjoy this puzzle, I gotta say I kind of would have preferred, rather than having these little lines here marking the color, I think I would have preferred having a solid color over here, because when it's solid over there, it really jumps out at you a little bit more. Like with this, you know, when you see it in the scrambled state, if you have solid colors here, it really jumps out at you as being a lot more stark regarding when it's scrambled and when it's solved. Here, you feel like you kind of have to look at it a little close to see exactly if it's solved or if it's in a scrambled state. So, but that's okay. So the first step is to do a 2x2 solve. And what makes this a little bit different is the fact that I'm not free to just move any old way. I have some bandaging that happens because of these square one pieces. Easily fixed, but it does break your concentration a little bit. So I've got 3 green pieces here, but none of them are where they're supposed to be. So I'm going to take this green piece and put it over to here. So what I have to do is move it down. So I've got to make sure all these are measured right. All these are able to move. And once they're in where they're supposed to be, like this one isn't, it moves not at all. It moves see, I miscalculated this. It moves quite freely. Bang, there it goes. So even a simple process of just moving things around becomes a little more cumbersome. That's not moving, so this is moving. And depending on how you scrambled it, you may have scrambled it in a way where it's almost impossible to really get things in right. So I'm going to take this and move it into here, actually. So we'll move this down. Got to get this out of the way, get this out of the way. And sometimes you scramble it into such a way where almost every move you have to shift things over. Like something here is locking this up. Don't know what though. Oh, this is in. Nope, it's not. There we go. So there's no need for any forcing, because once everything is where it needs to be, it does move freely. It's just a matter of getting it there. So this is in, this obviously is not. So this comes across. So now these two are in. Okay, the other green and white, it's actually this one. It's just got to move over. So let's coordinate this here. Boy, this is one where every one of them is always turned out with every move that I make. So turn, double turn it here. I can already tell this is going to block me, and this is going to block me, and this is going to block me. Here we go. Turn and what's blocking me? This is blocking me. Up. Okay. Now I move this 3x3 over. Turn. Oh, I got lucky. It just cooperated. Gonna make use of that. This I can tell needs to move out of the way. This needs to move out of the way. And this needs to move out of the way. Turn. So if you lose track at any time of what you're doing, then you get lost. Okay, so my first side is done. Green, 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 red, red. And I know it's hard to see because of how this was colored, which I'm not a big fan of. Just give me the whole thing. So all this is okay here. Now I'm going to take this blue since it's easiest to see, match it up with its proper place. Okay. Nope. There we go. Got a lemon over here. Okay, so this is matched up. Now the good news with this is I can actually see things better. So this isn't where it needs to be, and this isn't where it needs to be. So I'm going to do the algorithm to shift all these around. That's going to be U, and if I R, UI, LI, U, RI, UI, and L. Okay. Turns out that we have all of these oriented. Kind of didn't mean to do that, but I'll take it. These two are connected, or these two are correct, so I'm just going to move this in to where the yellow is. That's the thing about a 2x2 solve. A lot of it's luck of the draw. You might just get lucky like I just did. Okay, so these are fine, and these two here need to be swapped. So I'm just going to do simple swapping algorithm, and my 2x2 should be done. Well, it's not so simple when I always have to move these in and out of the way. Starting right now. When I have a lot of corners here, you can bet that almost every move is going to have to do that. So we have 2R, U, two R, UI, 2R, turn over here just to make things more complicated, and then we've got two R. Gotta move this out of the way. UI, 2R, U, and at long last, 2R. And then we match this up, and bang, we've got our 2x2 solve. Okay, so how do we approach these guys? What am I going to do? Do it like a supercube center, pretend this is like a square one center like I did with these, like a super, I don't know, 5x5 square one type puzzle? Well, no. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to solve it like 3 square ones. In order to do that, I have to make sure that I create 3 square ones with the proper colors on the top and the bottom. So what that's going to mean is that each square one is going to have a different top and bottom color. In this case, blue and green. So what I'm going to do is the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create my square one separate puzzles. I'm going to put all blues and greens here and all blues and greens here. Now it doesn't matter to me if I use all greens and all blues or some greens and some blues, some greens and some blues here. It's probably easier to do it that way because once I do that, this becomes a square one puzzle and I can just solve it as such. So that's what I'm going to do. The key here is put all blues and greens up on this side. And the way that I'm going to do that is just a matter of positioning. And this is the fun part of this puzzle because this is really a lot like just assembly. There's no algorithms involved in this. It's all strategy. So I'm going to try to move these up, but I'm not able to do that with this corner sitting in the way and this corner sitting in the way. So I actually have to move it in like this. I can move these two together, and that's what I'm going to do. But before I do that, why don't I match it up to something that can move straight down the center? So if I put another blue or green corner center combination, I can do it. I actually have this over here, so maybe I can coordinate that. I can't move this independently of this. That's just not going to work. So I'm just going to move this into maybe another portion. Now whatever I do, I've got to turn back because remember, I've got this 2x2 solve. So I'm going to move this here. Well, here. Move it in. Now I got to be sure to move things back. Bump that out of the way there. And move it back. Now why did I do that? I did that because now I want to take this and see if I can't coordinate this to here. Not the way that I did it, so that's not going to work. Okay. Well, what I can do is I can take this and put this into here. So move this here, and then move it back. So I'm building things up over here. So now I need to maybe put one corner over here, perhaps this. If it'll let me move in, it will. So move this into here, bump it out of the way, and move it back. Now the reason that I did this is that I have one line here that can be moved independently. So I can take this and move it up to here. So go like this, start moving things out of the way, move this out of the way, and now what I'm going to do is move it up, double turn, move it back. So now I've got these 3 or these 4 pieces up here. Now I'm going to do the same thing, get a whole side with all blues and greens. So I got this over here, I've got a blue and a green. Can I add to this? Sure, I've got all these guys over here. Okay, so these guys can move independently, so I'm just going to see if I can't move this in. This doesn't really matter here, so I'll just move it out of the way. So I move this in, so now I've got this whole slice here. So now I can go like bang and move it back. So now I'm going to take this en masse and move it next to this guy here. So move this down out of the way, find a way to bring this down, if it'll let me, move this down, double turn. So even before I start the square one solve, I've got to do a preparatory phase. So now I've got all the right colors on the one side, now I'm going to do the same thing on this side here. First thing I'm going to do is see if I can have a whole line of shapes here. Well, the problem is I've got too many corners, so I can't separate this out, but I can separate these out. So I'll look around, and let me join some things together. What can happen is get like a corner edge combination. So I'll just find a corner edge combination over here. Okay, so this can be moved. And this can be moved. These are all just every which way, scattered to the four winds. Okay, why'd I do this? Well, I'll show you. Move this here, so I can join these together, bump it out of the way, move it back. So now that I got these guys, I want to replace this with that. If I can. I might not be able to. But I think I can. Yeah. Okay. This guy's misbehaving here. So move it in. So I've got these together. Move it out over here and then move it out. So now I've got these, and I've even got these two over here. So now I've just got two corner pieces to go. So there's no right way or wrong way to do it. There's only whichever way works. Now I can't line this up in any specific way. There's too many corners here. So never mind that. But I will take this away from all those darn corners. Move it like so. Okay, now I can maybe, if I'm really lucky, okay, this will find a home next to this, just like this. Turn, turn, and turn. Okay, so I don't have a specific plan or technique. I'm just playing around with it, seeing what makes sense. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and move this down so that it comes over to here. So remember how hard it was to get back to the square form? Well, this is an added challenge. So now this is in over here, which is good. And let's see what kind of a mess I can make here. This won't move and this won't move. This will move. Okay, but I don't quite want to move this up yet, so I'm going to move it over to here and move this up. Okay. Yeah, why not? Okay. So that's okay there. I can move this down like so, move this here, and then move this up. Okay, I'm kind of peeling this a little too far away from where I want this to be. So instead what I'm going to do is move this down here, which won't work. Move this here, turn, and turn. Now why did I do that? Well, I did that because I really want to get this corner out of the way. So turn this in to match up with this, turn, and then move it back. Down. Okay. Now, if I use the word intuitive, that's exactly what this is. I'm just putting things in to create whole lines that take all the colors that I'm looking for, because now I managed to put this in. So now I can move this out of the way, put this down here. This is really just a more complicated version of what I did with these guys here. And I'll move this back up. Okay, so all this is good and all this is good. So I've basically got my square one puzzle here, which I'm going to solve exactly like that. But before I do that, let's start putting everything else in. Now all I have to do is get one more pair in place and the other pair will automatically be there. So let's do the same thing. What I'm looking for is I'm looking for, in this case, reds and oranges all on this side. I've got a bunch of reds and oranges, but this doesn't really go with that. So what I'm going to do is take this. Here's a whole bunch of reds and oranges here, actually, which I like. Okay, now I'm going to set this up here. So what I'm going to do is take this, move it in here so that I can create an entire line here, bump this out of the way and just turn it back. So what this does is this gives me one side of all the colors that I'm looking for. Now I'm going to create that again, only maybe with this. If I find a corner here, like maybe one of these guys, and put it into here. Shouldn't be too hard to find. This, turn, and out. So now I've got this over here, which this can now combine into here. Move this out of the way, move this down, wrap this here, and bring it up. So now all these are in. Okay, I do this one and the rest is all automatically done. So this is where things are going to get a little complicated. Well, not really. So I'm going to take these two and match it up to this, if I can, and I can. So move this in, so this is good over here, and then bat this out of the way. Oop. Now this doesn't really belong, so what I really need to do is put a little corner here. This won't move like that, but this will. So I'm going to move this out of the way here, bring it in, to put it in that slot, turn it over, and bring it back. So again, just a more complicated version of the whole move in, replace, and move out kind of a thing. Now I have to put as many as I can of the reds and oranges on the one side. So I'm going to take this, move this like so, bring it in here, move it back, which puts this next to this one over here. All right, put this at the side here. Well, here's what I want to do. I'm going to take this, well, we won't do it that way. Don't want to get myself lost. So this is okay here, this is okay here. What if I go like this? And then like this. Now why did I do that? Well, notice I still have everything on one side. I just put a different pattern in there. But I did move this next to this over here. So once again, I'm just trying to put all these next to each other, and I still managed to keep all of the colors that I need on the one side. So now I've got this. I just have to get this corner to coincide with this guy over here. Can I do it? Will I get lucky? So this will have to move 2, 1, 2, just like this. Move it like so, and 1, 2. So it worked. Now all I got to do is turn this like so, down, move this in place, and up, and it's done. Okay, now the fact that I got these two in place means that these all must be right as well, and all these are whites and orange, white and yellows. So now what I have is a 2x2 core with 3 different square one puzzles.